Finally, New Economic Rights Alliance gets to chat to Michael Tellinger after pinning him down from his whirlwind international tour. Michael, good to have you.
Hi, Scotty. Nice to be talking to you, my friend.
Yeah, good. So a lot has been happening with Ubuntu. I saw you here in London at St. Peter's Church. There must have been 200 or 300 people. They gave you a standing ovation after several hours of doing one of your presentations. So it seems like Ubuntu is starting to take off worldwide. I mean, well done. Tell us very quickly, what countries are you guys in at the moment?
Thanks, Scotty. Yeah, and it was good to see you there in London, and also well done with Majestic and everything that you're doing on the IT side, creating solutions for people to be able to share their knowledge and information with each other and with the world. And I know, and for those that are watching this that don't know much about your personal and your IT side with Majestic, I really recommend that they go out and check out the incredible power that you've created with Majestic and what it can do for people around the world. So yeah, that was that event in London was really the highlight of this year's Ubuntu tours around the world. I did a 7-country tour in March, April in 2016, which was just really the last bit of time that I could squeeze in outside of South Africa before we started preparing for the South African elections, which are going to be in more than just a week from now and on the 3rd of August. So I toured Austria, Italy, Germany, Czech Republic, Spain, Ireland, and the UK, London. And the whole tour ended in London, as you said, at St. Peter's Church, where we had close to, I guess, 300 people in there that just came to hear and share. And it was really an incredible day and definitely a highlight of the European tour, whereby I went to spread the Ubuntu message and philosophy and the plan of action. So the Ubuntu movement has grown in the last 7 years to an unbelievable representation in more than 200 countries. When I say that, it means that we have members and followers in more than 200 countries. I don't know how many countries. It's well over 200 countries at this stage. I've stopped counting now. And it's just encouraging to see how the simple message of unity and abundance and unity within community that has its origins not just in Africa, but in all native people and all native lands of the world. So it resonates in our hearts, in every single one of us. And when people hear that, it's like tapping into their genetic code. They just get it. They immediately feel it. They get it. They understand it. And it's something that the most common expression I've been getting from people lately is, you're saying what I've been thinking all my life, and this is it. So I've now got a hold of this, and I'm not going to let go. And that's pretty much what's going on here. I'm just reminding people, and the Ubuntu movement from our little humble head office here in Waterval-Boven is just reminding people around the world who they are, and how important it is for us to recognize who we are as living, breathing human beings, flesh and blood and infinite soul, to unite and start creating a future that we all would like for ourselves and our children.
So let's talk very quickly, Michael. I mean, it's what you said there is great, and it resonates. It's not right now. It's not too dissimilar to what a lot of other political parties would say. But we all know that Ubuntu's got a very, very, very different message. It's almost to the point of being a radically different message. Can you tell us a little bit about why that message is so different? And also, how many countries are you guys in at the moment? Because I know that you've physically registered the Ubuntu Party in many countries as well. So tell us about the message and the traction that this message has got.
Well, basically, our message is to get rid of money around the world, because and the people that follow my lectures and presentations will know that I really take you on a journey of discovery about money, what money is, where does it come from, what are the true origins of money, and not the lies and disinformation that we've been taught by our education system of what money is. And it becomes very clear that money has only one intent and one purpose, and that is to enslave humanity. And money was created by these royal political bloodlines many thousands of years ago, and been handed down. The control of money has been handed down by these bloodlines from generation to generation, and it's a tool to control and manipulate humanity, the rest of humanity, every single one of us, to manipulate our countries, our leaders, our religious movements, and basically steal the planet from its people and its inhabitants by enslaving us through this thing called money. And once people internalize it, once they digest it, they realize that it's something that we cannot continue using. And as Albert Einstein said, you cannot use the same kind of thinking to solve a problem that you used when you created the problem. So we've really got to get away from the way we've been thinking for thousands of years and start a whole new way of thinking about the future and the solutions for humanity. And that's exactly what Ubuntu and the Ubuntu message is all about. And that, as you said, quite radical in a way, is to completely and utterly eradicate money from our lives and from our planet. Because until we do that, we will forever be enslaved by those who control the supply and the movement of money around the world. And that's what's happened to us. You know, our political leaders are not elected, they are selected by those who control the money. And so also I need to just say this, that the Ubuntu movement and the Ubuntu party, although they sound like they're two distinct things, they're exactly the same philosophy. We just took the beautiful philosophy of unity and harmony and abundance within our communities, and we put that onto the political platform. But I guess there's more that you would like to discuss about that.
Yeah, very much so. The question that I'm looking at really getting to is that there are so many people with these fringe, let's call them fringe beliefs. And right now, this is what, to a lot of people that are hearing this for the first time, they'll believe that, oh, this is just a guy that's preaching about a utopia. He's done a few presentations. What I want to get across, Michael, is how much traction you're getting. This is no longer just a guy preaching at his birthday party. And I was there, what was it, Michael, 10, 15 years ago at your birthday party. And you first started talking about this idea of Ubuntu contributionism. And I want people to understand that this is now a force to be reckoned with. This is in multiple different countries. You guys are in where? You're in Australia. You've got Australian traction in terms of a political party. Yeah. I know that you were in the UK elections, that your book has been translated into 4 different languages at least.
Yeah.
Where are we now with that?
Let me recap on this, because I didn't really answer your question earlier. The Ubuntu party is registered in South Africa, in the UK. It's registered in Australia. It's being registered in Germany, in the USA, in India, in Brazil, in Austria, in Italy, in the Czech Republic. The book has been, and many other countries. Canada, it was registered, then it was deregistered, but we're reactivating it there as well. As I said, the Ubuntu movement has supporters and followers in more than 200 countries, and in many of those countries, the core groups that are being set up now to manage the Ubuntu movement there are establishing the Ubuntu party as a political platform through which to inject the seed of consciousness into the political beast in that particular country. So what has happened here completely, I guess, I didn't plan it, it just happened. So I'm just guiding and steering this, so it keeps moving in the right direction, because there have been infiltrations already to try and undermine us, to try and divide us, to try and dilute our message, and we've had to deal with that. I've had to deal with that on a personal level every single time. So the message is a message whose time has come. There's no doubt about that. And it is a message for the new age, for the emancipation of humanity as a whole. It's not there to benefit me in any way. It's there to benefit me and everybody else. I'll be a co-benefactor of the implementation of the Ubuntu philosophy, as will every single other living, breathing human being. So there's no hidden agenda. There's no benefit to a specific group. There's a complete benefit to every single living, breathing human being the moment we embrace this philosophy. And I guess that's why it's growing so quickly. And as you said, it is not just a small idea. It has grown out of control. If I decide to shut it down and do something else, it's not going to stop. It's going to continue growing and growing, because people have embraced it in multiple countries. And as you said, the book has been translated into, I think, 7 or 8 languages now. I'm eagerly awaiting the Zulu version of it, which has taken a very, very long time to translate. I need to follow up on that. It's being translated. The Spanish version is also coming, and the French version, which has eluded me for some reason. But we are now also waiting for the Japanese version, believe it or not, and the Ubuntu Japanese website, which is about to be launched very soon, and the Ubuntu Chinese version and the Ubuntu Chinese website, which is about to start being constructed and translated. So it's, you know, what can I say? It was a small idea, as you said. I think it was 11 or 12 years ago now that I first started talking about this at private parties and in conversation to people, and everybody thought I was crazy. And see what happens when you keep pushing a crazy idea that resonates in people's hearts.
Absolutely, and it's just amazing to watch this grow. And it's not really, I mean, it's amazing, but it's also, it's not really surprising. Your timing, I mean, let's look at what's happening in the world right now. We've had Donald Trump, you know, completely taking everybody by storm because of his so-called radical beliefs. We've had the United Kingdom leave the European Union, you know, which, you know, for most people who don't really understand, and they don't, I mean, the European Union is really nothing more than a corporation when you truly learn to understand it. It is a corporation. And these people don't really understand the entities that go behind it. And you mentioned the banking system. I mean, the European Union is effectively controlled by the banking system. It's a banking union first and foremost. And we have a look at what's happening with this banking system. And now Ubuntu is saying it's time to start getting away from this banking system. It's time to start getting away from this money system. Now, here in South Africa, we've got the elections in a couple of weeks, the local elections. And you've been doing a huge amount of work. I mean, are you in, did you say 12 or 13 different constituencies now that Ubuntu is now going for? And do you have individual representatives in each of those different places?
Yes, Scotty. We are in 13 municipalities in the local municipal elections coming up on the 3rd of August. So that's 13 municipalities. And it's been an unbelievably tough task to manage and control it and keep pushing it forward, with very little funding and very little infrastructure, because contrary to popular belief, Ubuntu is not a big organization with a big office of people doing things. I'm running the entire global movement on my own from my home office here, and from the Ubuntu office in Waterfallboven down the road from me, where we have no internet because the internet went down, so I've got to run it from my house. So it's been an incredible challenge to get the 13 municipalities, first of all, registered, get the candidates registered in each municipality, go through the IEC, the Independent Electoral Commission, red tape and requirements for the registration, the money required to register everything, the funding, and somehow, by hook or by crook, with continued support from our members around the world and our supporters around the world, we've managed to pay all the costs, which at this stage is well over R1 million. And I mean, I've been putting my own money, every cent I earn, my retirement money, everything has gone into these elections for a very simple reason, because we believe from the lessons we learned in the national elections in 2014, which I discovered were completely crooked and absolutely 100% rigged the way they want the result to be. I've learned that it is much smarter not to go for the head, but rather go for the heel. And this has been our approach now, not just in South Africa, but this will be our approach in all the Ubuntu party activations in the United States, in the UK, Canada, you know, wherever, Australia, etc. Brazil coming up very soon, is to stop worrying about the government and the national parliament and so forth. Go after the small towns and villages, the municipal or the local elections, where you take control of your own town as the mayor, and as the mayor and the highest authority, the highest politically elected authority of your town, you can then start implementing the Ubuntu plan of action, and thereby bringing the people behind you to stand in support of what you're doing, because this will be the first time ever in human history, actually, if you really analyze this, that such a philosophy is being implemented. And the moment you start implementing this, the people of the small town and community will rally around you and support you, so that once you start this, it can never be overturned. Because even if you go against the national government or the will of the so-called centralized government or authority, you're implementing the will of the people of your municipality. And the people of our country remain the highest authority. And this is one of the things I keep reminding the people on the political front. Remember that the people are the highest authority of the country, not the government, and that we appoint our leaders to be our servants, to do what we want, not to enslave us with their rules and regulations. And this is what, when people join the Ubuntu movement and they start listening and following to the message, they realize that this is it. This is the message that everyone's been thinking about all their lives. How do we get out of the trap and the mess? So on a local municipal level is where I believe we can have the first global success. And the first little town that we win an election in, even if it's one seat in that municipal council, it plants that seed of consciousness and the virus of consciousness that begins the destruction of the draconian system that enslaves us. And this is the spectacular realization that you get through the experience when you get involved in this arena.
Wow, that's fantastic. Now, when you said the Ubuntu philosophy and the approach has generally been around the money system and getting off the money system or getting out of the money system, etc., etc. You talk a lot about that in your book as well. Now, yes, that's the first aspect. Now, you're also saying that the Ubuntu approach and the strategy is not to try and go for the head, as you say, which is your kind of federal type government, but instead focus on small villages. So you've got the removing, put those two together, and you've got removing villages from the kind of money system. What is your plan from a political perspective and what is your offer to people to vote for Ubuntu in those villages? How are you going to do that?
Right, very simple. Our manifesto is on our website. So anyone who wants to read it and in more detail, please go to ubuntuparty.org.za and read as much as you want. Just keep scrolling down on the news page and you'll get a very good indication and a thread of the growth and the expansion of the Ubuntu Party and the Ubuntu movement and our activation in the political arena. Just to also, for people that don't know, in South Africa, and I'll come back to how to get away from the money system and our plan of action. But in South Africa, we are in the following municipal areas: Johannesburg, Cape Town, Hermanus, Stellenbosch, Bredasdorp, Knysna, Port Elizabeth. Then we are in George, in eMakhazeni, which is my town, the 4 towns of eMakhazeni, in Albert Lutuli municipality, in Bella Bella, which is the old warm baths, and I'll probably forget some of them, and there are 13 municipalities in total. At this stage, we have become an absolute threat to the ANC and to the DA, so much so that they've called special meetings in those towns and those municipalities. Saldanha Bay is one of them, that they've called a special meeting because they really are seeing Ubuntu Party as the new big threat because of our simple message of liberating people and teaching people, giving people the knowledge and information about the money system, the draconian, corrupt government system, and how they've conspired against the people, and how the government has sold out the country to the banks. Like you said, European Union, everything, it's all about the banks controlling our countries and our entire planet. And through the Ubuntu Party and the Ubuntu movement, and injecting that virus of consciousness into the political beast, we can start changing this and removing ourselves from the exploitation through money and the financial and the economic slavery that we've all been plunged into. And the most exciting part of this, Scotty, is this, that we don't have to oppose anyone, we don't have to fight anyone or resist anyone. There's no conflict of any sort. All we're doing is we're creating the systems of enslavement that have been created to enslave us and control humanity for the elite. And we're using those same tools in our favor, not against anyone. We're using them in our favor. And those tools are the political platform, that we're now using the political platform to get our philosophy, our radical philosophy. It's never been put onto a political platform. We're now putting into that arena. And we're using money, their tool with which they enslave us, to create the systems and the platforms in which in future we no longer need money. So this is really important for people to understand, because we talk about the evils of money and how bad money is and how money destroys lives, how it destroys families, destroys communities, how it destroys countries and rips the fabric of humanness apart. And yet we're using money, and we're constantly screaming and begging for money, for donations. And the reason for that is, the more money we have, the more solid and stable the foundations of this new Ubuntu philosophy can we create. Because the entire money system has been structured so that it completely destroys and eliminates anything that tries to oppose it. This is really fundamental. And this is why no one has ever been able to get rid of the system. Not Abraham Lincoln, not JFK, not Hendrik Verwoerd, not at this stage, by what seems to be going on, not Putin in Russia. Everyone that tries to oppose the money system has failed. With the Ubuntu movement, we have a very simple plan that will remove us from the enslavement of money by using money itself to the point where we no longer need it. This is really important for people to internalize.
My final question, Michael, and this has just been absolutely wonderful. I mean, it's great to hear your passion coming through. It's truly, it isn't. And when you listen to you, it's actually not really that radical. It's often more common sense. So my final question, Michael, is tell me some of the personalities in South Africa that you're dealing with. Tell me about some of the people that are running for the elections, in their local elections. There must be one or two names, some stories behind the scenes that you can tell us, and the way it's affected them in their lives.
That is really the most tear-jerking and exciting story of this whole this growth of the Ubuntu movement, especially the political side aspect of the Ubuntu movement and the Ubuntu party in South Africa. People that find us from the smallest rural villages, young kids, 18, 19-year-old kids that suddenly find us and embrace us and phone me and say, I want to promote Ubuntu because I'm sick and tired. I want to have a future. And they bring all their friends. In Carolina, for example, in the Albert Lutuli municipality, all our candidates are 18, 19, 20 years old. And they go out in groups of 50 people, 50 kids on the streets with our Ubuntu flags, with our Ubuntu banners, marching down the street, preaching the Ubuntu message to the people around them. It's unheard of. I could never have imagined this. To people that are self-made millionaires going out there and preaching the Ubuntu message in the Cape Town municipality, going out there and canvassing and campaigning on the weekends, to people that are unemployed, that have nothing, to people that are aspiring members of their community. We have candidates that have stood up for Ubuntu that are ex-ANC members, 75-year-old stalwarts of the backbone of the liberation struggle in South Africa from the 60s and the 70s, that were hardcore ANC members who have now joined Ubuntu. We have DA members and EFF members from all the other parties joining us when they find out what our true message is and who we are and what we propose. So the spectrum of people that are joining Ubuntu are unbelievable, from multi-millionaires. Last night, while watching rugby down the road at the Malaga Hotel, I bumped into a multi-millionaire lawyer from Johannesburg who owns one of the big law firms in Joburg. You know who I mean. I'm not going to mention names. One of the big law firms in Joburg. We started talking about Ubuntu and a world without money at the bar during the break watching the rugby. And by the time we finished talking, the guy was so excited, from being an absolute skeptic and not wanting to hear a word, to being so excited about what I shared with him that I had to go to the car and get him a copy of the Ubuntu book. And, and saying, I love what you're saying. I love the way you think. I've never heard this before. This is so refreshing. I'm going to go away and I need to really think about this because this is very exciting information. And that's what happens. People that have been stuck in the legal and the money matrix their entire lives suddenly find that there is another way. And I believe that we are very close to making global history. We're more than a week away. We will win some election. We will win some wards. And even if it's just one ward, one seat in any of the 13 municipalities, we will begin. That will be planting the seed of consciousness into the political beast. And we start promoting the Ubuntu plan of action and the philosophy. And I didn't really answer the question before, again, when you asked it, what is our plan and our promise to the people? And our promise to the people is very simple. We believe that every community must have its own supply of electricity. This is our strategy. This is not the fundamental Ubuntu philosophy, but this is our strategy for starting the emancipation, the liberation of the people and individual communities, and taking back the control of the people for the community by the community itself. And it starts with the provision of your own supply of electricity. So every community, every town must have its own supply of electricity. With that electricity, we can then set up multiple community projects. And I mean dozens and hundreds of community projects, from growing food to arts, culture, technology, science, healthcare, education, everything you can imagine. We can create community projects in all those walks of life. Every community project, including the electricity, will belong to the people. So no more Eskom hijacking of our rights and supplying our electricity. We provide our own electricity. That belongs to the people, which means it's free to the people. And with that electricity, we can then create all the community projects we want to create. Everybody gets free electricity as long as they contribute 3 hours a week towards one of the community projects. The moment we've done this, we've laid the foundation for a very powerful, united community that has created a powerful labor force of, imagine a town of 10,000 people, everyone contributing 3 hours a week. That is 30,000 hours of labor per week. We've just turned our town into a powerful labor force that no municipality, no government department can compete with. No corporation can compete with. And with that, we begin the emancipation of our people by providing everything we need for ourselves, and all of it will be provided for free because we're doing it with our own electricity, with our own labor force, and with our own provision of the components that we need in those community projects. This is just a very basic introduction to our plan of action. As this grows and expands, the community becomes completely self-sustainable, and more importantly, it becomes an exporter of the abundance that it creates. So everything we do, we export to our neighboring towns and communities, and we sell it for cheaper than anybody else. Any Macro or ShopRite or Pick n Pay or Spar or any other wholesaler, we can sell our goods and services and products for cheaper than anyone else because we've created it virtually for free ourselves as a united labor force in our own community that belongs to everyone in the community. And you can realize very quickly how powerful this very simple idea is, which means that everyone in our town lives for free. Everything we do for ourselves is available to everyone all the time, as long as we all contribute our 3 hours a week towards contributing to the creation of the goods and services and products and etc. Other than that, we're then free to follow our passions, our labor of love, what it is we love to do. And the moment people do that, if the moment people don't have to worry about money and earning a living and working for some stinking corporation or where the food is going to come from at the end of the day, the moment people don't have to worry about it, it eliminates the stress and the anxiety in their lives. It allows them to become creative souls again and start to participate in what their natural talents are, the talents that they were born with. The moment people start doing that, over and above the 3 hours a week of community work, you can imagine how productive our community was going to be. And this is just a very short, quick introduction to what the Ubuntu philosophy is. A lot of it is available online in my lectures and workshops. And from here on, it just gets better and better and more exciting and simpler to understand how the unity within community can create abundance beyond our wildest imagination.
Michael, I've known you for a long time now. As I said to you, since your birthday party where you started speaking about the Ubuntu, or wasn't called Ubuntu then, it was contributionism. When you were writing and published Slave Species, your first book, people thought that crazy. I was at the UFO conference that you put together, which, you know, was 1,000 people, and the people, you know, on the press, you know, were saying, gee, what the heck is going on here? We're having an alien conference here in South Africa. They kind of made a mockery of that. You know, I've seen you produce several more books since then with regards to all the discoveries, the ancient discoveries that have been made. We took on the banks together and supported each other in that whole banking system and exposing what the banking systems do. I've seen relationships come and go. I've seen your best friends turn against you for absolutely no reason that we could possibly see. You know, you've been down and out, you've been up, you've been on a roller coaster. I've seen you with standing ovations in places in various countries in the world, and you've come just such an incredibly long way. And it's, you know, it's just amazing to watch that people are starting to really resonate with this. And you know, I can tell you this from right now, is that once I completely agree with you. You know, you offer the 3 hours for free electricity, that 3 hours a week for free electricity message, which is so simple and so clear. But yes, once you get that first town, Michael, once you've got that first town and you've won that first election, and hopefully it'll be in 2 weeks' time here in South Africa, with a little bit of luck, if it doesn't happen then, it'll be soon after in another country. But once you've hit that first town, then 150,000 NewERA supporters and everyone that I know and I contact and I've got in touch with that I can possibly reach need to know what you are doing with regard to that one town. And I do encourage every single person who's listening to this and every single person that follows Ubuntu is just get that first town going. And once it's happening, that happens, then let's tell everybody about that first town. Let's turn it into let's put it on the map first and foremost. And yeah, Michael, it's amazing to watch where you've come from. It's a very, very special initiative. You're a very, very special human being, a very, very special man. And yeah, man, we absolutely support you, and I look forward to going to strength to strength. And any final remarks to the people of South Africa 2 weeks before voting day?
Yeah, look, we are on the verge of making global history. And absolutely, Scotty, as you say, it's that first little town. It's the first domino to fall. Once we start with the contributionism and Ubuntu philosophy, it destroys capitalism everywhere. You cannot fight it. You cannot stop it. It becomes the cell that just duplicates and doubles itself, like that first primordial cell that creates our bodies, right? That keeps doubling and multiplying. That's what will happen, because people everywhere will want to live like that, will want that same kind of freedom and emancipation in their own towns and communities. So what will happen is that we don't have to convince anyone. We won't have to try and force anyone to do the same. It'll happen on its own. And all the mayors of all the neighboring municipalities are going to go find out about Ubuntu and what we're doing. And they're going to be under pressure immediately. Because if they don't change to the way that we're doing things in our town, the people will pretty much run the mayor out of office and get a mayor in there that'll do what the people want. So it is literally planting the seed of consciousness and the first domino to fall with that first one small town. And that's why our motto for these elections is one small town anywhere in the world will change the world. So let's find that one small town and convert it into an Ubuntu contributionist community that plants a seed of consciousness into the rest of the planet.
Michael, what a pleasure. It's been a great discussion chatting to you, and let's get that one small town happening. Let's make it happen in the next couple of weeks. You know, spread the word. Ubuntu Party and Ubuntu Planet are easily Googleable. And yeah, Michael, what a pleasure. Thank you so much. And yeah, I'm going to get this out to everybody. For those NewERA people that get this, please share the word. This is happening. This is real. This is not some crazed lunatic that's just decided to put on a t-shirt and spread some strange message. This is absolutely huge. It's growing exponentially, locally and around the world. And it's time now to make it happen for sure. Michael, well done, man. I've monumental respect for what you've done. And I hugely look forward to telling the world about that small town when it comes off. Oh
yeah, thanks, Scotty, and stay well and keep doing what you're doing so well. And thanks for sharing and resonating with us, and lots of love and resonance to all the NewERA members out there, and especially those in South Africa. Go out there and spread the Ubuntu message. And if you live in one of those towns where Ubuntu Party is standing, vote Ubuntu. Be part of that consciousness shift. Know that you are part of that change, and feel good about that.
Absolutely. Michael, farewell.
Till later, Scotty. Bye for now.